ये नाइंसाफी क्यों है भाई?
As a mental health professional, see the darkness.
So we keep telling others, take a break, look after yourself. Maybe we are not the best advertisements for that.
I swear.
Called doctor shopping, yes.
Doctor shop. One story, one downfall, one epic comeback. This is not a podcast. This is an uncancellation ritual because we don't believe in cancellation. Welcome to Cancelled to Crowned with Sohini. In today's episode, I'm in conversation with Dr. Kersi Chavda, one of India's leading psychiatrists. In this conversation, we turn the lens on the mental health professionals themselves, their journeys, the obstacles they face, the stigmas around mental health, even as mental health professionals, and what it takes to reclaim your story with courage and grace. Hi, Dr. Kersi Chavda. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with us and agreeing to come to our show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It really means a lot. I'm going to extract all the gold out of you today. But I must tell you before we start that I've had a very restless night. I have been so nervous about sitting across you. We've interviewed so many people, but you have made me the most nervous because to sit across my guiding light, my mentor, my star, and question him is quite unnerving.
I think you're just being very, very kind to me. Thank you anyway. Never been introduced by anybody like that.
Well, it's the truth.
Thank you.
So we all know about your fierce, incredible brain. I want to now dive into your heart.
Okay.
So can we talk about who baby Kersi was before the Dr. Chavda?
What do I say about baby Kersi? So, mum was a principal of a school. So I've come with a fairly academic background. My dad used to be a manager somewhere. Had an elder brother. Was fairly good at academics. Passed out. Got into medicine. Always wanted to do medicine. When I was young, I had a fierce temper, which I've learned how to control very, very, very effectively.
Okay.
I think I was always a little spoilt because I was born 10 years after my brother. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I was probably a mistake, but it doesn't matter.
You definitely weren't a mistake to the world.
And that's how we got into medicine. I always wanted to actually do either pediatrics or psychiatry. And I was very lucky that I could kind of do a mixture of both because my field of interest is kids. And I do a lot of other psychiatric stuff also. But that's how we started. Often people have asked me why psychiatry. So basically what happened was that even when I was doing my MBBS, or basic graduation, I discovered that I had a lot of friends coming up to me and talking about their problems. And at that time, we didn't know anything about psychiatry really. But whatever I told them seemed to make a difference. And I used to enjoy it quite a bit at that time. And then that's how it became something that I decided to pursue. And that's how I became a psychiatrist.
Wow. I'd like to talk about the anger though at some point.
Okay, I shouldn't have opened my mouth yet.
We all need help with that. So I'd love to understand how you have regulated
Well, it was actually very, very funny. I had a very dear friend who came up to me one day and I was snapping and snarling at him. And he just told me, he said, Kersi, you're a very nice guy, but you're going to lose all your friends if you just keep snapping like this. And I don't know why, that really got me. And I was thinking to myself and I said, actually what he's saying is true. I mean, why should I be snapping and snarling? I may not be able to control what the other person says, but I can certainly control my own.
Right.
And I made a conscious effort to not snap and snarl. And initially it was very, very conscious. And then over a period of time, it became unconscious. It became just... So I very rarely lose my temper. I very rarely shout. I don't remember the last time I shouted. I mean, maybe I do the wrong thing in that I became very quiet, but I think it's much, much safer than, shouting and screaming and banging your head and throwing things and all of that, which I see people doing.
Yeah.
Which I think is a horrible reflection on the way they control their own emotions. Once in a while, of course, it's nice to let your hair down. But if you do that as a regular basis, then I don't think that's appropriate.
Safer for who?
Safer for themselves and safer for people around them.
Right.
I mean, there's just so much of negativity and anger that we see around us. You see road rage happening, and then it's some frightening things I've seen when I've been passing where, you have a crash and then somebody gets out from one car and starts banging on the other car. You see people beating each other up. Our television sets are full of a lot of anger, a lot of violence. So I think overall the resilience, the tolerance of people seems to have reduced a little bit, and it seems okay to let it all hang loose. But it isn't okay to let it all hang loose.
Yes.
It isn't okay for you to be somebody who's a caricature of the nice person you could be. And I keep telling people, when sometimes I have parents who come up to me with their kids and they say, kid is doing this, kid is doing that. And I say, is there anybody in the family who's doing that and mommy is doing it or daddy is doing it? And I say, it's as bad as a person saying don't smoke while you're smoking.
Absolutely.
That doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So if we are going to be a role model, and please don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm certainly not this ideal, nice, gentle person all the time, but at least we've got to try to control our emotions to make it sensible, to make a person feel good that he's with you. At least not to make him feel bad, not to make him feel that, oh shit, I shouldn't have come to this guy at all.
Correct.
That doesn't make sense.
How does one regulate their anger?
I don't know about, of course, I do know how you regulate. I regulate it by working out. So since more than 30 years, I go to the gym. And it's the safest thing going. I have a lot of friends who, now the people in the gym become friends. So, you're fooling around, and you're also doing a good workout. The other thing that we do is have supportive family and friends. And I cannot emphasize that enough. It is horrendous if you have family who is not supportive. So I thank my stars that both my family and that of my wives are extremely supportive, very nice, very gentle. They'd go out of their way to do things for us. I have a whole bunch of friends who treat me with great disrespect, but it's great fun to be with them and fool around and, talk absolute nonsense. I also think it's imperative that you have a number of friends who are not from the same profession.
Yeah.
So when I'm with my doctor friends, all we are talking about is patients and operations and, person being depressed and so on. And when you're with your non-doctor friends, you're talking about a whole bunch of other things, which actually is very restful. So that helps a lot. I think that's really something that enables you. And over a period of time, when things don't go your way, when you get stressed out, when you feel horrible, when you sometimes wonder what you're doing in the profession, if you have some close friends who you can depend on, you can talk to, that makes all the difference in the world as well.
Yes.
So I am absolutely blessed that some of the best shrinks in the country are my friends, and we can talk, and they can be brutal with me and tell me what I'm doing wrong, but they are just there all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so incredibly blessed for that. We have a particular kind of condition where you are suspicious, where you believe that he's looking at me, she's looking at me, and somebody doesn't like me, and so on and so forth. And I keep thinking to myself, that must be such a lonely life.
Yes.
If you wake up in the morning believing that the whole world is against you, if you get out to work and you say, he's looking at me and she's looking at me, if you believe your boss is against you, if you believe your wife doesn't like you, if you believe your kids are disrespectful, if you feel that you're just not liked by anybody, it's a horrible life to live.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, if you have, it's not that everybody is going to say yes, dear, no, dear, and blow kisses at you. But if you know that if you need it, one phone call and they are there, I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm blessed like that.
That's so wonderful. I don't have too many friends, but I say to myself that I have my 4 kandhas,
Your 4
my 4 shoulders.
kandhas. Okay.
You know that I know that at all times these 4 pillars will
Will be
flow
there.
up. And that's all I really
Well,
need.
you got a 5th one now.
Of course, I come to you for everything.
Yeah. No, but I really believe that makes
Yeah,
all the
it
difference.
does. It does.
You see, the other thing also, Sohini, is that being in the profession that I am, frankly, we are listening to horrible things all the time.
Yes.
Yes? And it's getting more and more horrible as the years pass. We would never have imagined
Yeah.
the kind of cases that are now coming to us. I mean, we didn't have the net more. I mean, it started, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? So at that time, half the problems that we see related to that were not there. It is imperative for us to be able to, shall we say, compartmentalize ourselves from the nonsense that we are listening to day in and day out. And sometimes it gets very difficult. You have research has been done on which profession commits the most amount of suicide. Psychiatrists. We commit the most number of suicides. How many of us are depressed? A huge number.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are probably amongst those professionals who, if you are diabetic or your blood pressure or you have blood pressure, it often runs in the family. For us, very often it doesn't run in the family, and you'll end up getting it because, again, you're so stressed out all the time. And however much you have insight about it and however much you try to do things about it and you have the best people at your disposal and you're working in the best hospitals and you get the best investigations done, you still end up getting affected. And it doesn't end.
Yeah.
We are probably also the only profession where, at the age of 60, you're supposed to retire in others. But for us at 60, we are just in our, we are very experienced and everybody wants us even more. So we are practicing till 70, 80, 90 also at times.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It is. I feel like the only times I feel like quitting my profession as a practicing psychologist is when my clients self-harm or they try and commit suicide. That's the one time I question myself and I ask myself, am I in the right place? Because I feel so helpless that I don't know what to do with that feeling of one, helplessness, to the counter transference where I want to go and rescue them, and the load of it.
Yes.
And then there is this guilt which is not even real, because somewhere you feel that it's your job to take care of them.
Yeah. So over a period of time, you realize that the best cardiologist will lose a heart patient.
Yeah.
The best neurologist may not be able to help a Parkinson's. The best orthopedician may not be able to do a fantastic job with an operation.
Yeah.
It's very tough. So just like that, for us, the best doctors might lose a patient. But it's horrendous. And if you're in the limelight when that happens, it's even more horrendous. But the bottom line is, we've got to realize that finally we are not infallible. We are not God.
Absolutely.
We do the best we can. We take all the support we can. We use all the research that is available for us. We keep ourselves updated. We suggest things. We do things. But eventually, we are human. And if the opposite person doesn't do what he's supposed to do or doesn't get the support he's supposed to get, or sometimes everything is happening properly, but he or she just feels that it doesn't make sense to stay alive, and he does what he has to do. But yes, then it remains on our, we live with it all our lives.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about something called survivor guilt.
Mm.
And we don't normally talk about it in reference to a doctor. But yes, sometimes you wonder, could I have done this? Should I have done that? That's why we talk about having a psychiatric autopsy after a particular thing and going through the entire sequence of events with some senior or your own colleagues, etc. Going through the whole thing over and over and over again, saying, could I have done something here? Could I have done something there? And seeing if there could have been a change which might have made a difference.
There's always retrospect, but
It's always right.
we'll never know. No matter what choice you make, you could have always made the other choice.
That's true. But we always do what we feel is best at that time.
Yes.
And that a lot of people don't understand. Why didn't you do this? I did what I felt was best at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, if I knew that it wasn't going to work, I'm not dumb. I would have done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hassle also in psychiatry and psychology is that everybody is a psychiatrist. Yeah. So the driver knows more than you, the mother knows more than you, the girlfriend knows more than you, the gym instructor knows more than you. It becomes a little problematic.
The influencers.
The influencers know more than you.
Yeah.
And then there's always this thing of log bolte hai, you know, dawai mat lo. And I keep asking them, who are these log? Wo pata nahi hai, lekin log bolte. Who are these log? I've asked that over and over and over again. I've never found who these log are. But log bolte hai. वो बोलते हैं कि बहुत खराब है. What is the खराब that is going to happen? पता नहीं, लेकिन लोग बोलते हैं. If I get onto your medication, I'm going to get addicted. What is the meaning of addiction? पता नहीं, but addiction हो जाएगा. I say, okay, you have blood pressure problems. You're put on medication. You probably will have to take it for the rest of your life, unless you're very, very lucky and you can bring down your weight or whatever else it is. You have a horrible lifestyle and you manage to change that. But there's a huge number of people who will have to be on antihypertensives all their lives.
Yeah.
Is that addiction? They say no. If you're diabetic, ditto. Is that addiction? You'll have to be on insulin for the rest of your life. No. Sometimes you're born with a thyroid dysfunction and you're put on thyroid supplements which start when you're born and they'll go on till you die. Yeah. Is that addiction? No. But if I give you something that's addiction, ye na insafi kyun hai bhai?
You gave me something I didn't get addicted to. Do you remember the time when I lost my mom? And I was just not being able to cope with my grief. I had taken a break from the practice. I was not able to take care of my kids, even go to the washroom.
Yeah.
And you put me on a course and I felt better. And on your own, you reduced the time, you reduced the dosage, and I bounced out of it.
Yeah.
No addiction, no withdrawal.
And sometimes I might not have reduced it if I felt it wasn't.
Exactly.
And I have a lot of patients, for example, who are on medication for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. And they're very, very happy. And they understand that one stupid pill makes their lives better. Why shouldn't they have it?
Yeah.
You have a lot of kids now who are much more sensible. I still remember I had once given a talk at a school and, 10 standards, etc. And then about a month later, one adult male walked into my clinic and I normally ask them, who sent you here? So he says, Doc, you're not going to believe this, but you had given a talk in my school, in my son's school. And my son came up to me and he said, Dad, this guy came in, he's quite a dude. You better go, you're depressed.
That's
so sweet, isn't it? Yeah. And he actually came. On the other hand, you have parents who come in and they say, no, there's nothing wrong. What does he have wrong? He's got the best institutes. We are such nice parents.
Yeah.
He's doing so well. We go abroad once a year. He's got a lovely house. He wanted a dog. We got him a dog. I'm not going to allow him to be treated by you. And then we say, okay.
Yeah. And you know what happens after that.
And then you know what happens after.
So my children were also aware that I had called you up and I was taking intervention to feel better. And when I got done with it, I told them, I'm okay now. Dr. Kersi helped me. I'm done with my course of medication. So they were well aware. Yeah. And mom needed the help and she took the help. My daughter has a psychologist who she is allowed to reach out to.
Excellent.
At her own will.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And she's 15.
We also have a look at doctors. Now, we get very stressed out. Sometimes when we pass through our horrible times, of course, I have access to the best doctors in the country, like I said. So we talk. And sometimes if I need medication, I take it.
Of course.
What's the big deal? And then they say, how can you take it? You're a doctor. It's like, how can a cardiologist have a heart attack?
Yeah.
How can an orthopedician have a fracture? That's dumb. Just because I'm a psychiatrist doesn't mean that I don't get affected. And if I need the medication, I will take the medication.
Yeah.
And I'll be proud to take the medication. Because if I don't trust what I'm doling out to others, then I have no right to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people forget the fact that before Dr. Kersi Chavda, before the mentor, before the perfect mental health professional, you're human. Your heart is human. It's going to feel, it's going to get disappointed, angry, all of it.
Sure.
And when that humanness is negated from your life, and when you're dealing with your own mental health trouble at that point, I'm sure it's difficult. Do you have the freedom to not be okay mentally?
Yeah, you do. I mean, sometimes you feel a little embarrassed almost. What the hell am I doing? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you have this little voice in your head saying, that if somebody else came up to you like this, you would have done this. Why don't you do it? But I'm really blessed, Sohini. I have so many very, very good doctor friends. And it's almost telepathic, I mean, they call me. Is everything okay? I just felt that you needed to talk. And we check up on it. Okay, now let's also look at it like this. A number of my doctor friends and colleagues are on medication. A huge number of doctors in the hospitals where I work, youngsters and adults, are very stressed out, very anxious. The legalities in the profession get at you. The horrendous working hours get at you. I'm on call every hour of the day. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I might get a call. Unlike abroad where a heavy OPD is 10 patients, here a heavy OPD may be 60 patients. It's not easy. And you also have to live a normal life. And then, what happens is you take a break for 7 days and you come back to double the number of patients.
Yeah.
And people screaming at you and saying, how could you leave us and go? Whoa. Okay. So, if it gets at us, we support each other. And if I know, for example, that, my friend had a problem, at regular intervals, I'll call him and say, everything okay. They'd call me and say, everything okay. During COVID, I remember in the middle of, it was my birthday and I was in a very low mood because of certain series of circumstances at that time. And I had 5 very, very dear friends, 4 very, very dear friends, far away from where I stay. They landed up at 12 o'clock at night, showing their doctor's pass to all the cops who stopped them because we are not allowed to travel during COVID. But they came just to wish me a happy birthday and to say, the hell with whatever is happening, we are with you. Things like that keep you going.
Yeah.
You have a patient who you really think is in a horrible state of affairs and he or she recovers. You have kids who come to you and they've been cutting themselves or they've been attempting suicide or they're severely depressed and they can't go to school, and your interventions make their family happy.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
You see a kid with severe problems, maybe an autistic spectrum disorder, and he starts actually going and hugging his dad and the dad bursts into tears and, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Those things keep us going.
Of course.
Sometimes it's extremely difficult. We ourselves get very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I know that there was a time when in my hospital I was asked to talk to all the nurses. So we had this huge amount of nurses and I was talking to them about various things. And I asked them, what is the one thing that you think would make a difference to your lives? And, do you normally think they'll say, we want more holidays, we want more pay? And all of them got up and said, we want somebody to listen to us when we are not feeling happy.
Yeah.
You had nurses who were pregnant. And when they were dealing in pediatrics, when they were working in the pediatric ward where you had kids having major problems, they would go back and pray that their kids would be okay. You had nurses with young kids, and you're in the pediatric oncology department where they have cancers. And they go back and they say, please God, let my child not have cancer.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
No.
It's really not easy. I mean, you're a mother. It's probably the worst thing in the world when your kid has a disease which may not ever get okay.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And it's things like that sometimes, when you listen to the nonsense that goes on in the media about how bad doctors are and how non-caring and non-feeling and how they're not available, etc., etc., feel like telling them, come, you want to swap?
Try.
Yeah, try it. Swap places. Then you'll see how non-communicative we are. I mean, at the end of a long day, if somebody calls up and says, hi, are you going to be working at 9? And they know I'm going to be there, but they call me to tell me that I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. But on the whole, it's been a nice journey. We have our ups and downs, and extremely privileged to be in the position I am. And like I keep telling everybody, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who would be in that position, but I'm just lucky that the Lords have been good to me.
So have your clients. I've sent to so many, and they have.
Sweet.
I find it very difficult to work with addiction because it triggers me. And as a mother, I start spiraling into thoughts when I look at my children. Oh my God, let me not send them abroad. Because you, as a mental health professional, see the darkness in its real sense. Like you see the core of that darkness. It's not topical. And I developed a fear towards my children. So I completely stopped seeing clients with addictions, and I send them to you. And I have another practicing addiction specialist psychologist who I send my clients to. So I think it's also very important for us to be sensitive to our own triggers so that we don't transfer our fears onto our clients or take home the fear.
That becomes a little difficult, Sohini. Now, the one thing after so many years, I mean, I've been in practice now 35, 40 years. I'm an old man in this field. One of the things that still gets to me after so many years is child sexual abuse. It's gut-wrenching. It makes you want to bring up, and you start wondering whether these people are humans. I have a lot of youngsters meaning young psychiatrists who really can't cope with it.
Yeah.
So then I become a referral source to them, and they just say, Doc, please deal with it.
Correct.
After so many years, clinical detachment, this, that, and the other, you still find that you can't sleep at night. You still find that you can't detach. My wife is incredibly supportive. She sees me very quiet and she says, bad patient. And I say, yes. So she kind of leaves me alone. Or she says, would you like to talk about it? And a little bit I do, keeping all confidentiality, of course. But that's still horrendous.
Yeah.
So I can just about imagine now we have youngsters coming up into the profession right now. They're going to be seeing and dealing with so many kids who we had not even thought about when I was a youngster.
Yeah.
And sometimes I land up feeling sorry for them. Where is it ever going to end?
I was severely abused as a child.
Whoops.
But I think I work very well with abuse now.
Okay.
I feel like I may have healed that part of me, processed it, I understand it. But with addiction, I'm not able to.
Okay.
So I know that I need to work.
You need to know your limitations.
Yes.
That's fine. That's fine.
But it is very, very tragic. Sometimes what we see as mental health professionals. But I've also learned that a lot of my healing indicators come from my clients. Right? How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, it's been there. I mean, there are so many ways of communication, and one of them is the non-directive way, Rogerian technique, etc. Now, a lot of people believe it's only biological and this, that, and the other. I do believe that there's a little bit of communication skills, counseling, therapy, which also makes the difference between being a very good psychiatrist and being a good psychiatrist. Of course, everything is majorly biological, but I do believe that there's lots of other little facets that we can look at, which makes a difference to how comfortable the person feels with you. And maybe somebody will say he doesn't have to be comfortable provided you're doing the right thing, but I do believe that it will probably make a difference if he's very comfortable.
Yes.
So in that, if you allow the person to tell you about and to direct you to asking him the right questions in the direction that he wants to go, up to a limit, of course.
Yeah.
He can't just meander and meander and meander. Then very often you know the questions to ask, which may not have come about in his initial interview with you, even if you had questioned him on that, which may not have come about in any of the testing that might have been done. So we learn on the job also.
Yes. Yes. Has there ever been a time in your life when you have felt like, that's it? Now, when I say cancelled, I mean when you cancel yourself, or maybe like I am done doing this, or I'm not good enough because I failed at this case, or cancel because of someone's opinion, so on and so forth. Have you ever experienced that, okay, I've reached this dead end or this rock bottom and I should quit, but obviously you haven't. You're still shining, working, standing strong.
Very often. And there have been times in the last 4 or 5 years when, because of certain circumstances, I have really questioned what I was doing, etc., etc. You get into a very low phase. I think all of us pass through that at times, where you start wondering whether what you're doing is the right thing or not. I mean, so often I've gone up to my wife and saying, I want to become a gardener.
Yeah.
But then we're useless. The only thing we can do is psychiatry. So we get back onto it. And somehow from somewhere, you get some reinforcement from a patient, from a parent, from a professional, which makes you feel that maybe you're not so bad. And so what if once in a while you haven't succeeded? If 99% of the time you do, then that's not too bad an average.
Yeah.
But it's tough. There's no
It
question. And those are the times when you start questioning a whole bunch of things, including whether it... First of all, you start wondering whether you should have been a psychiatrist at all. Then you start wondering what field you should have taken, whether you should have been a doctor. It's so sad today. I have so many doctor friends whose kids want to get into medicine. And my friends come up to me and say, dissuade them. They should not get into medicine. Very sad.
Yeah.
Very, very sad. Because we know the kind of stress that we are facing, where we can never ever be good enough for the world.
Yeah.
Where we are always held accountable, where people who have no idea about what medicine is lay down dictums about how we should behave, and things like that. So it's a tough life.
It is. It is, because we're dealing with something that's not tangible.
Yeah, that's true. But I keep telling people, of course, there's it could always be better, but it's also very nice. I mean, it's wonderful at times when I go for a party and there are about 8 couples, and then my wife comes up to me and says, what, you treat everybody or what? 6 couples came up to me and said, we go to your husband. Now, I never open my mouth.
Yeah.
But they go up to her and say, we've been to your husband. And she says, what, everybody needs your help? I said, what to do? I'm abroad and a film star comes up to me in Macy's. Dr. Chavda. And she looks at, she starts chatting with me, and my wife goes, oh God, she also? And I say, yeah. So it's like that. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It also over time develops into such a tight relationship.
The good thing is, when we were young, a family doctor was the best person ever, right? I mean, even after I became a consultant, my parents said, you have to ask the family doctor. I said, Mum. She says, no, you ask her. If he took a walk on the road and they were staying close by, the whole world knew them. Yeah. So, he would have to walk saying, hello, 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 because everybody went to him or her. Today, it's reaching a stage where for a lot of us, wherever we go, people come up to us and say, hi, doctor, how are you? How nice to see you here. What are you buying? Oh, you have a drink with us. That kind of thing. And I think that has changed. It doesn't happen in every city in India. I think maybe over here we are a little more open about psychiatry and psychiatric practice, but I believe it's happening in other places as well. Though a lot of my colleagues say this happens only in Bombay and you're one of the privileged few, etc., but I don't really think so. I mean, there are times when I've gone, say, for a social, at one of the gyms and all of that, and the guy on the croon-up sings the thing, and then he says, hi, Dr. Chavda, how nice to see you. And I'm like, oh. And he announces, I was depressed and I'm singing today because I'm no longer depressed, and he's the guy who helped me.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also have people who come up to you and say, we wish we had never seen you. We wish we had never heard of you. You've caused so much of a problem in our lives. And you go through the whole rigmarole and you say, I would have done exactly what I did. The hassle is you never followed up. You never did what you're supposed to do. You tried something else. Now, okay, for what it's worth, I respect all pathies But maybe homeopathy wasn't appropriate at that time and you left what I suggested and you went into homeopathy and then you spiraled out of control. So there are things like that. We have problems. We are probably also the only field where we have a huge number of people who believe that there's nothing wrong with them. If I've broken my leg, I know I've broken my leg and I'll go to an orthopedist.
Tangible.
It's tangible.
Correct.
But if somebody says that there's something wrong with the way you're thinking, you're very suspicious, you feel that somebody is tracking you, hacking into your computer, looking at you negatively, there are voices in your ears, you need help. And he's going to say, I don't need help, you need help. So ours is the only profession where there's a large percentage of people who we have to treat when they believe that they are not patients.
Yeah.
Very difficult to do that.
Very
difficult.
Very.
At least if I'm depressed and I say, okay, I'm depressed, I need help, is okay. But if I have one of the major psychosis, I'm going to say nothing wrong with me. See, he's doing it to you.
Yeah.
Tough.
I personally find the clinical space very difficult. That's why I'm not in that space. I'm in the counseling space, and hats off to everyone who's in that space and sustain themselves, because that's a different kind of darkness into which you shine that light.
Sure.
And it is, sometimes you have to give away your own light.
Yes, you do. We get exhausted.
Yeah.
You get exhausted. The family gets exhausted at times.
Yeah.
The family wants more of you and it's just not available. You take they want to go on a holiday and you say, you hum and you haw, and then they say, what the hell is wrong with you? I guess we all have to also remember that if we pop it, the patient is just going to say, oh, so sad, and then find another doctor.
Correct.
But the family gets affected.
Yes.
So we keep telling others, take a break, look after yourself. Maybe we are not the best advertisements for that.
I swear. I say that to myself. I'm like, you need a break. And I'm thinking, me too. Who am I to say this to my client? But there's also a lot of caretaker exhaustion when you're dealing with a clinical family member. And is there any advice that you would like to give?
In fact, I've done podcasts on this also. Supposing there is a caretaker who's looking after a person who has a circumscribed problem which is going to get better. So, for example, he's broken his leg and for a while he's been told that you can't walk. So, you have mummy, daddy, brother, auntie, uncle looking after him, helping him to bathe, etc. But you know that in 2 or 3 months he'll be able to do everything. That's a different ball game.
Yeah.
You have somebody who has a major psychotic illness. You have your older parent getting into dementia and they're never really going to become okay. They may wander off sometime. They may act weird. Your heart breaks when you see the caricatures of the person that they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's extremely exhausting for the caretaker. Extremely exhausting.
It is.
And when you know that it's indefinite, that it's never really going to become that they're going to become okay, then you kind of very often get affected mentally as well.
It's a pre-grief, right?
It's a pre-grief.
So you're already grieving.
Yeah. You have parents, for example, who kids have been born with some congenital deficit, mental retardation, autistic spectrums. And you know that maybe they're never actually going to be able to live a so-called normal life.
Right.
So then parents have to make trusts for them. They have to ensure that to the best possible, after they're no longer there, somebody looks after them. And given today's state of affairs, nobody really wants to be saddled with a burden like that. Yeah. You know that, I remember once, I've been a consultant to about 8 to 10 schools, special schools, universities dealing with special kids. And I remember how this mother of a very severely mentally retarded daughter came in and told me, doc, everybody gives advice. But you know how it feels to know that I'll never be able to ask my daughter to go down and cross the road and get a loaf of bread and come back, because I know that she won't manage that. And it's a tough life.
It is. I grew up with my mom's brother who was challenged. And my grandmother went into coma for 10-15 days. And it was almost like she couldn't leave. And one by one, we all sat with her and told her that, look, I commit. I didn't. I was only 17, 18 years old, 16, 17 years old. And I was sleeping down in the hospital. She was in the ICCU. 3 o'clock, I went upstairs and I got this urge to talk to her. And I went in and I told her, I'm the youngest. I promise you that I will give him everything I have. I'm never going to abandon him. That morning at 5:30, we got a call saying she passed.
Wow.
So I don't know how
Now,
it
it
worked.
could be coincidental, but
Yeah.
maybe something else also.
Yes, yes.
I mean, we can't explain it.
Yeah, yeah. And when the time came to take responsibility for him, we all were there. And,
That's lovely.
you know,
Because unfortunately, in today's generation, there's a lot of horrible stuff that also happens where you start wondering. I mean, you see spousal abuse, of course. I mean, I'm saying, of course, though it should never have been, but I mean, that was the norm. But now, when you have parental abuse happening, the older person who's looked after you is pushed around,
yeah,
not fed properly,
yeah. Or left on the street.
or left on the streets, abused.
Yeah.
It's
It's heartache.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah. While we're having this conversation, I'm thinking in my head, is this getting heavy for the listener? But this is the reality.
This is the reality.
And this is something that mental health professionals go through every single day of their life for hours on end.
Yep.
You know, and doctors especially, when their prescriptions aren't taken responsibly, when I had some side effects, I remember. I was feeling very sleepy and I did not quit. I called you up. I said, Doc, I'm feeling really sleepy, and you changed it. And we worked together and I kept giving you feedback, and eventually I stabilized so well.
Yep.
So we have to trust our professional. We have to give feedback. We have to communicate. You can't just judge. Sometimes a Crocin may work. Sometimes a Dolo may work. Sometimes you need an Ibugesic. Sometimes you need Enzoflam. It's only by communicating with your doctor that you can make these changes. So I'm saying this just to reassert that we can't be irresponsible with our prescriptions and our medication and keep changing our psychiatrists because this didn't work. And then you go to someone else and you're like, this didn't work. And then eventually you say, oh, all doctors are bad.
All that. Correct.
You know, we have to take responsibility.
It's called doctor shopping. Yes.
Doctor shopping. Yeah. Sad one. What according to you is failure?
I don't know. Okay, maybe failure is that for me personally, when I'm irritated with somebody to the extent that I say, look, maybe find somebody else to go to. That I would probably consider to be a failure on my part, even though it may not be, because sometimes you really have patience or try your patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
You give them something and they say no, but I mean, and the worst thing.
They call the yes but patients.
Yes.
In psychology.
Yeah. Okay. So I call them the no, but. Yeah. So we have also dear old Dr. Google.
Of course.
I've actually had a patient, when I said you need this, they open the Google thing, they type in the thing and they say, but doctor, so many side effects. Okay. Then ask Dr. Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things like that get at you. So maybe that would be considered a failure. The other thing that probably would be considered a failure is if you get too involved with the patient. And that happens when the child has, sexual abuse and all of that. Sometimes you can't disconnect. It's extremely difficult. And you know that, you should not become a parent. You still have to be a professional. Sometimes that's difficult. We are learning on the job, but it's difficult. And there are some kids who really are absolutely sweet. And you wonder why they're passing through this. You have some kids who are incredibly intelligent and they talk stuff which you wouldn't even know that a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old would have access to. And they're passing through such a traumatic period that you start wondering what the plan of life is all about. I mean, what is the purpose of a 10-year-old kid who's sexually abused by his father? What is the purpose of that? What is the purpose of a 10-year-old kid who's branded by a witch doctor who said there's something wrong with him and I will get it out? Things like that still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do.
It's frightening.
My job also makes me question life a lot. But it also has taught me surrender. And surrender has led me to freedom. And if I wasn't in this profession, I don't think I would have, because the helplessness that you feel sometimes and you can't help forces you to surrender. And then you're able to watch life pan out. Sometimes you can join the dots, sometimes you can't. But this faith or surrender is something now I'm able to do with my own life. I'm able to watch myself from afar, especially when I'm passive aggressive. That's my flaw, which I'm actively working on. But I'm able to watch myself, from a distance now and bring in the changes I need to with the help of my therapist.
Sure.
And your help. So I feel like I have received a lot of gifts from my profession as well.
Oh, there's no question about that.
Yes.
Everything we have comes from our profession. The respect we get, the love we get. Now you're at a stage where people keep touching your feet. At one time I would jump back saying, find somebody else's toes to touch. But now you're at that stage where they just touch your feet, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
earned. It's
earned.
earned.
And in India, at least, there's a tremendous amount of respect that still exists for the Dr. Sahib.
Of course.
I mean, when it's raining and you say that you don't feel like going to the clinic because the roads will be flooded and you have people coming 3 hours, 4 hours just to get you, you feel you're privileged. You feel you're privileged.
Yes. Going back to failure, is it really failure if you've acknowledged it and you're mindful about it?
No, it's a stepping stone to success.
Yes.
I would consider that.
Yes.
You also learn what not to do
Yes.
in the future. Hopefully it will never again happen in the future, but you also learn what to do, what not to do, and what could have been done different, if at all.
Yes. And when we reach that point of failure or the dead end of failure, and when you go deeper into rock bottom, does life ever really end there?
It could. I've had, there's been a time when I know, when I had first started off as a young consultant, I had a very, very, very nice doctor, friend, absolutely gorgeous, extremely erudite, fantastic clinically, blah, blah, blah. I loved him. I thought he was wonderful. And then suddenly one day I found that he was a little low. He wasn't talking much. His usual wisecracks, which used to enliven everybody, had reduced. He seemed under the weather. Now I was very young. He was about 20 years senior. And I kept thinking I should go up to him and I should ask him, is there something wrong? Can I do something? Blah, blah, blah. And I was just too diffident. We're talking of 30 years ago. He committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And I never forgave myself for that. I still think about it. And okay, now I'm probably overdoing it. Maybe if I would have asked him, it wouldn't have made a difference and he would have still killed himself. The bottom line is, I use that. And now whenever any of my friends or colleagues, when I start feeling that there's something wrong, I go up to them and I say, look, is there anything wrong? You can tell me to go to hell if you want. But if there is something, I'm not there only for patients, I'm also for you. And about 30 to 40% of them actually tell me that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
I think we hold ourselves back from people. We are too diffident. We don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
We don't want people to say, don't bother us. Why are you interfering? There's nothing wrong. Even if there is, why should I tell you? Sometimes a person just needs to know that he's being acknowledged.
Yeah.
And I would say that to everybody watching this show. If you feel that there is something happening to a friend or a colleague or somebody you just about know, it's okay for you to go up to that person and say, look, is there something wrong? I don't want to intrude, but if you do need help, let me know and I'm there.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of difference.
You know, it's a reminder to us that the human mind is so fragile.
It is.
And it is so complex. You know.
It's also so strong. It's also so complicated. It's also so wonderful. I mean, we all say that the brain is the center of everything, and that the psychiatrist is the most important person. And fortunately, now there is more and more respect being given to psychiatrists, which wasn't there. At one time, it was like, who would ever go? Now it is, I must go. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start begging patients not to come to you, then you know that it's become a big thing.
Yeah. And that's such a good sign. It gives so much hope.
It does.
Right? That people are taking their mental health seriously. They are working towards banishing the stigma around mental illness.
True.
I'm not feeling well. I've got a cold. I took medication for 10 days. I bounced out of it. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be taking it forever. Right? But this stigma, also self-diagnosis.
Yes. The other thing I'd also like to talk about is, I respect people doing yoga. Yes. Tarot card reading seems to help some people. What is that silly thing called? Crystal therapy.
Oh, I don't know.
Theta healing, beta healing. A lot of it is, to put it very gently, not based on any evidence. I remember how aghast I was when a patient once came up to me and said that he's listening to some sound waves which are being passed from Australia and coming to him, and he named some horrendous amount of dollars that he was paying for the same.
Okay.
Things like that. So while I have a lot of respect for a lot of the other alternative therapies, if I had a fracture and I went to an orthopedician and he said, do yoga, I would think that's stupid. Yoga is wonderful. I mean, it's Indian and, so much. It helps relax you, that reduces anxiety, makes you flexible, helps a lot in aches and pains, enables you to meditate, enables you to focus. But there are certain times when you need psychiatric input.
Yeah.
When you need psychological counseling and therapies. So if some things are needed, let me not be the last person you come to. Let me be the first person you come to. There are times when, you're horrified when the person says he's been suffering for 2 and 3 years and he's tried everything else before finally coming to me.
Yeah.
Because we also know that the earlier that you can get a person treated, diagnosed and treated, the more likely it is that he's going to recover totally and more beautifully without any side effects, without any residual effects.
Yeah.
So why not do that?
I absolutely agree with you. Before your sniffles turn into a chronic sinusitis.
Yep.
Or a chest congestion into a pneumonia.
That's correct.
Let's treat it and catch it.
And catch it young.
Right in the beginning. And a doctor he's a qualified person. He's going to say.
And they're good guys. A lot of us come in and they say, oh, hame socha tha ki aap thode alag se honge. And I say, what is the alag? We don't have horns. We don't have a tail.
In fact, we have the most empathetic, softest heart.
I know.
With boundaries. I think it's the boundaries that cause the problem. Because how can a mental health professional have boundaries?
Yeah.
Right? But if my mental health is not okay, how am I going to take care of you? If I'm overstretched, if I'm tired, if my judgment is clouded, if I am going through a personal problem, if my mom has passed away or my child is struggling with their life, and I'm not able to focus on you, then I am doing you a disservice. Then I am wasting your money. So boundaries is so, so important for every profession.
Absolutely agreed. And much more for us. Because when the person comes up to us, he's very vulnerable. And unfortunately, in every profession, you do have people who misuse that vulnerability, which absolutely is not acceptable.
Doc, today's times are full of uncertainty and there's a lot of anxiety attached to it. Do you have some coping tools to give us? to deal with uncertainty and the anxiety attached to not knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I think that's part of the human journey. So we talk about good lifestyle practices. So sleep properly and not at 3 in the morning. Get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep if you can. Drink enough water. Eat regularly. Not too much junk. Not too much sugar. Drink very little. Don't take drugs. And exercise regularly. If you can manage all of these more or less, then you're on a good wicket to begin with. But you have to also realize that there's an enormous amount of genetics which is now being looked at as the cause of a lot of problems that occur. So if there is a genetic history and you take it over 2 generations, 3 generations, etc., and if you find that there has been a lot of psychiatric illnesses, even if not diagnosed at that time, but the person behaved irrationally or was very anxious or very depressed or attempted to kill himself or was taking drugs, etc., then we get a little more concerned about what is happening. So if a person comes up to me, it's not necessary that I have to deal with him. But if I evaluate him and I find that he doesn't really need me, I would refer to a counselor or whatever else. But if I find that he needs me, then he stays with me.
Yeah.
And I give him the medication and I do the other stuff. I might or might not also refer to a therapist. But the bottom line is there is no substitute for medication if medication is needed.
Yeah. And you won't give it if he doesn't need
and
it.
I wouldn't
you will refer a psychologist or a therapist to him if he doesn't
I mean, there's so many times when people have come up to me because they have some other doctor who's not a psychiatrist might have given them medication, maybe in good faith, and I say, you don't need this. So that's the way it goes. We keep saying that the psychiatrist should be the master of the ship. He's certainly the master of the brain.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are now realizing it, which is good.
Yeah.
There's a long way to go, but if I look at what it was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we've traveled an enormous distance, which makes us feel very good for the future.
Yeah. When you started off, it was a huge stigma.
It was a huge difference.
You had to...
And we had hardly about 15, 20 tablets. Sometimes the effects of those were not very good. Today, we are in a much better
But I'm sure you had to fight through a lot of resistance.
Yes.
How was that for you?
It was difficult. Fortunately, my parents were very supportive. They just said, do whatever you want to do. I remember my very first house post, I dealt with about 20, 30 patients who had some psychotic thing and they were hallucinating. And I came home and I told my parents, I'm going to leave psychiatry. I can't cope with it. It's too traumatic. They said, do whatever you want. It's your life. I stuck it out and I'm glad I stuck it out. That time was very difficult.
Yeah.
That time, nobody really spoke of psychiatry. If you said you were a psychiatrist, people sniggered. Even my own friends, because I could have got into a lot of other professions. I mean, I could have got into pediatrics and radiology and blah, 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 medicine also. But I took psychiatry and a lot of them came up to me, including heads of departments, telling me, are you sure you know what you're doing? And I was like, okay, let me try. I haven't regretted it. Of course, at times I still say I wish that the only emergency I had was, Doc, I've got an extra boil coming on my face.
Ask my dermatologist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, Doc, boil.
Yeah, so though of course now everybody is into aesthetics, which also can cause tremendous stress to the doctor who's doing it, because if the face doesn't look the way it's supposed to, then you're in trouble. But at least people don't kill themselves.
Yeah.
Ours is the only profession where that is a complication.
Yeah, it is. It's so painful. It is so scary for me. I just feel like I wish I could rescue or shake that person up and say, look, you don't have to. There's a way out. I was once standing under my shower many years ago thinking, how do I end this? And my daughter came, Mama, banging at the door, and I snapped into reality saying, shit. And for me, everything, that was my lowest time. But I found the only way out was up.
Yeah.
And here I am.
True.
And I wish I could say this to everyone. And I'm sharing such a personal part of my life on camera today because I want to tell people that there is no end. There is always a way out. There's always a new path. There's always light waiting for you. There are so many options and there's always choice.
There's always choice. That's a very nice statement.
Yeah.
There is always a choice.
Yes.
It might be very difficult. You might feel the entire world is against you. You might go through situations which you never ever thought you ever would.
Yeah.
Your reputation may be in shreds. You might feel that you're no longer the person you recognized because of everything that's been
Yes.
trolled about you. But then you survive it
Of course.
and you do well.
Yes.
And you have more and more people who trolled you coming to you and apologizing to you and actually wanting treatment,
Yes.
which makes you feel,
Yes.
you tell them that.
I think we both, I've had my share of cancellation as well, and we both experienced our reputations being shredded down to zero. That's where Cancel to Crown even came from. You know my journey very well.
I think you're incredible. I mean, okay, people, she's interviewing me, but I think she's incredible.
Oh, thanks for making me blush. But the whole point of the show is to say that, look, no matter what happens, your light cannot be dimmed by someone else. Nobody has a right to cancel you. And you, please don't cancel yourself. It begins here.
Yeah.
You know? If you had to go back to that boy who had just come out of a medical school and who was
With stars in his eyes.
stars in his eyes,
Yes.
looking at the crown that he was going after, what would you say to him now?
I'd probably tell him not to have too many stars in his eyes, not to be too idealistic, but never be so cynical that you kind of negate all the goodness that still exists. That sounds very philosophical, but I go with that. I have a lot of friends and colleagues who are extremely negativistic towards what's happening. They believe that this should happen and that should happen and we are not given the respect and this, that and the other. And I keep telling them that of course what you're saying is right. But if you look back at what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's an absolutely different scenario.
Yeah.
And we are privileged to be part of that journey. We are privileged to be part of that, group which is reaching a destination where hopefully soon a time will come when people will fight over each other and say, he's my doctor.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that y'all have been the game changers.
I like to think so.
Sorry?
I like to think so.
Yes. Y'all have
We were at
put
that
the bricks
stage, yeah.
and created platforms for all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm not a psychiatrist or a clinical person, but as a mental health profession, I'm still walking on the ground that y'all built for us. And that's incredible. For me, that's like a big, big crown that you're wearing, to have created a pathway not only for us as professionals, but to create access to people who need it.
Yeah, I do believe so. And it also makes me very happy when you have, the people who are economically not affording. I remember I had gone for a camp which was done by a neighbor of mine in a small little village in another state. And the days before that, apparently people had gone with one of those megaphones, saying, "Ye doctor sahab aane wale hai, agar aapke paas koi मानसिक बीमारी है तो आप आ सकते हो, etc., etc." And my friend who was my neighbor and part of that hospital, he was extremely nervous and jittery. He said, "I'm taking you there, but you may not get any patients, blah, blah, blah." I was there for that 1.5 days or 1 day or whatever it was. And I was busy from about 8 in the morning to about 9 at night till the evening. I said, "Please, I can't do any more." There were people who were being brought in trucks. There were people who, one person had brought his sister in a train from another adjoining city. I gave lectures to the nurses. I gave talks to some schools where kids were having problems. I talked to the doctors. I had a person who I admitted, the first hospital, that hospital had the first admission of psychiatry under me, and I keep teasing my neighbor that and say, I inaugurated it. It was lovely.
So gratifying.
So gratifying. And we're talking of about 10, 15 years ago.
Wow.
Where at that time, they understood that psychiatry was important.
It most definitely is.
Now, of course, it's become a big hospital and the center of excellence in that area, which is so lovely.
Wow.
And they've got psychiatrists joining them and working full time. But at that time, there was nobody. It was lovely.
You have not only been a game changer in this area, I think you've done some work for the LGBTQIA plus a community as well.
Well, okay. So we have something called the Indian Psychiatric Society, yeah, which is the umbrella thing for psychiatrists across India, as the name suggests. And they have task forces. So a task force would be a chairperson, a co-chair, and a convener. And they're from across India. So you might have a chairperson from Mumbai and a co-chair from Rajasthan and somebody else from Bangalore. They used to have they have about 20, 30 such task forces. And they started one for the LGBTQ community. And that was the same year where the LGBTQ went to the government and asked for 377 to be repealed. Yeah, which said that it was a criminal offense and this, that,
Right.
yeah. I was a chairperson at that time, and I had some friends who are my colleagues, fantastic people, and they were gay. And they, what we normally have to do is you go from city to city talking about it. So like you're in a child thing, you talk about the problems associated with children, you talk about the problems associated with geriatrics, blah, blah. So we were going from place to place. And when it reached the law courts, the IPS under my tutelage, under my request, we sent out a position statement, called a position statement, saying that being in the community is not a crime. It's not a disease. It's a variation, and it needs to be respected. When it was repealed, when 377 was repealed, 3 of the 5 learned judges quoted us.
Wow.
So, if nothing else, I think I have decriminalized, 12 to 15% of Indians. So I'm rather chuffed about that.
Oh, thank you for that.
I know. I have a lot of friends who are in the community, and it's horrendous when they cannot be allowed to do what they want to do.
Just too unfair.
It's horrendous. And I'm so glad that at least this bit has happened, that they're no longer considered to be criminal.
Yes, yes. And thank you. And congratulations on such a big
I
achievement.
learned on the job, and it just happened. It fell into place. I was privileged enough to do it. I was privileged enough to be there.
Wow.
My name is, I remember that year, my name was, they have this thing for the IRS and all those, they have these common entrance exams
Right.
where you have multiple choice questions. Somebody sent me the thing
Are you-
saying, hey, your name is there.
Wow, I love that.
I know. That was lovely.
That's a true game
That is so
changer
cute. Yeah.
to reach a MCQ.
Insecure.
MCQ, it's called. I remember because my kids are giving MCQs right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Doctor, I've loved chatting with you. Before we go, I'd like to ask you 2 questions. One is, if you had to give your crown an emotion, what would you say?
Hope.
Yeah,
I don't think we can survive without hope.
yeah.
So I would actually believe that the only way we can survive is with the hope that things will get better and the conviction that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Whether it's very happy, it will pass. Whether it's very sad, it will pass. I don't think we can remain stuck and stagnant at one emotion forever. So that's what I would think.
Beautiful. My next book is called Hope.
Whoa, okay.
Yay.
You better allow me to write a forward again.
Of course. Goes without saying. So on that note of hope and moving forward and growing and re-establishing that there's never a dead end. There's always a choice. I want to thank you again for choosing to come and speak to us.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'm going to end it by saying that even though she's got this facade of happiness and laughter, she's been through travails that very few people had, including life-threatening illnesses, including, can you imagine, she used to stutter, and today she's what she is. If she could do it, anybody can. I cannot think of anybody who actually deserves to be wearing the crown that she's just talked about. Cheers. I'm going to wind up. Ta-ta.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, Doc, for everything that you are, for everything that you do, the space that you hold for us and people who are struggling through life, here's a little gesture of our gratitude. And I really do hope you like it.
It looks lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.